Нека да продължим. Представям ви Ерик Вос. Той работи по един много интересен проект. Най-голямата частна обсерватория, която се строи в Европа и тя се случва в България. Оставам на него да ни представи повече информация за този интересен проект.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to have to apologize in advance because we've had absolutely zero time to prepare this presentation.
My fault.
Thanks for that.
I was actually going to say I wasn't going to mention names, but being as though the author of APT has already declared himself guilty, then there's no secrets between friends, really. Right, this is a presentation that I was asked to do just to introduce DeepSky Access. It's an observatory that I'm going to be building in Bulgaria. It is very much in its infancy at the minute, but we are intending to make astronomy and remote observations more accessible to the world. So the intention here is to build a globally accessible observatory in Bulgaria. We are, as you can see, going to be based in Lesovo. We have already secured the land. We have approximately 5,000 square meters on which to build the facility. We're going to need to improve the infrastructure somewhat because the broadband in rural Bulgaria isn't really what it should be. So we're going to be introducing 10 gigabit broadband to the village. We have spoken to certain ISPs in Bulgaria who have already started trying to secure the permits and everything else to upgrade the infrastructure to the village so we can get obviously 10 gigabit infrastructure to facilitate the data that's going to be moving between obviously the host and the servers and everything else. Each of the scopes will be in an observatory. We're going to start off initially with about 12 scopes initially. And the intention is to have roll-off roof observatories because the array is going to be quite sizable. We are going to be able to either rent time on the scopes. The cost is yet to be confirmed. It depends exactly how much it's going to take in terms of building the infrastructure and everything else. So we're now at a point of we've got everything planned. All the infrastructure is planned to support everything. So we have the servers. I need to build all that. I also need to work on how the control room is going to connect. We have sort of plans in terms of how the array is going to function. We're also going to be offering the ability for people to host their own scopes. So same near Bortle 2 Skies in Lesovo. It's Bortle 3, but it's between 2 and 3, so to speak. So it's quite exciting. I've been in Lesovo now for about 6 months, and we've had maybe 4 or 5 days of cloudy skies. So every other evening has been beautiful seeing, great imaging weather. Unfortunately, I don't have any telescopes in Bulgaria at the minute, so I've not been able to get any images. These ones were captured from the UK, unfortunately, but this is what we're going to be allowing people to sort of try and capture for themselves, either by way of raw data or allowing them to use their own scopes to capture the data to then either process it off-site. We are going to be offering a processing service through outreach programs and things like that, trying to get institutions engaged, outreach and things like that for universities and basically just anybody really that wants to be involved. So this basically brings us to the objectives about providing high quality equipment to anybody that wants to use it. In my experience, there are a lot of other observatories that rent equipment, and it's either consumer grade, it's okay for individuals, but when under heavy use and things like that, you get a lot of dead pixels, and the equipment just doesn't stand up well to prolonged use. A lot of the equipment is sort of consumer grade, but we're investing a lot of money in terms of trying to make sure that everyday people get to use super professional equipment. We're going to have plane wave CDKs, say 14-inch CDKs, L350s, 10 micron mounts in terms of keeping everything solid. We're going to be using active and adaptive optics in order to ensure that the atmosphere plays as little role as possible in terms of causing issues with the raw data. As I've mentioned, the area surrounding Lesovo, there's very little light pollution. The scene is absolutely fantastic. I've taken my own SQM measurements in terms of the sky brightness, and we are almost a Bortle 2, and I'm sure you'll all agree that's fantastic skies. And there's very little in the way of traffic, so there's no real artificial interference, etc. So yes, it's all quite exciting. I hope you guys agree, because it's a fantastic project. Hopefully, when it's all up and running, and we're trying to sort of build it here, because the skies are fantastic, the people are fantastic, and it's just a wonderful country, I think, to try and build a project like this. Right, what are we on now? Yeah, so as outlined before, initially in the rental array, there's going to be 12 scopes, all professional grade, all using CMOS and SCMOS cameras. People will be able to connect to these scopes whenever they like, as long as it's clear, obviously. And you'll be able to, as soon as I've developed all the software, we are going to be using Indy because it's sort of homegrown. And the reason for using Indy is because it works very nicely over TCP/IP, which means that we're not going to have to suffer from bottlenecking on USB buses. So we're going to be using fiber optic and 10 gigabit Ethernet throughout the internal of the observatory. So it should make lucky imaging quite easy to do, alongside massive DSO data sets. So as I said, we're going to be using cameras from Moravian Instruments, because they tend to be, according to my research, very, very high quality cameras. Me and Ivo today, we were talking about Player One cameras. I'm not opposed to trying that, because it's all community based, and if somebody wants to recommend any equipment, or somebody comes to me with a proposal to say you should use this in your observatory, we can work out a deal, I'm sure, because it's not me just deciding what equipment should be used, although it's been very, very difficult to decide. It's all about you guys ultimately, and if there's any ideas or any feedback, things that we do right or things that we do wrong, if we do, want to hear everything, not just the good but the bad as well.
May I interrupt you for a second?
Of course.
I'm a developer of Indigo. Have you heard about it?
Yep, and that's
Why don't you consider it?
I already am. I am.
And why did you choose Indy over Indigo? It's shorter.
I've not necessarily narrowed it down, because we were using the terms interchangeably, but I'm not opposed at the minute to anything.
No, just asking what are the pros and cons. Why did you choose Indy over Indigo? This is interesting for me as a developer, because this will be a valuable feedback for me.
Because I initially was considering Alpaca, because obviously ASCOM, and I didn't want to use ASCOM because it was a USB based, and then obviously Alpaca was released, and that's brilliant because it talks over a network. The reason I'd not really considered Indigo is because I'd not really heard about it that much. But obviously,
I can tell you something else. We have a bridge which is from Indigo to Alpaca. So if you want, you can use your hardware with Indigo drivers.
Yep.
And you can connect them with Alpaca interface.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
we have Alpaca agent. So
okay.
Indigo, as opposed to Indy,
yep.
Has so-called agents.
Okay.
These agents are responsible for guiding, for plate solving, for scripting. You can write scripts in JavaScript,
okay,
which can do virtually anything. You can automate everything in your observatory using these scripts.
Yeah.
Even the sequencing in Indigo is written in JavaScript.
Okay.
So you can write simple sequence and complex sequences with a very good API.
Yep.
So that you can do virtually everything. You can extend it freely. You can do basically whatever you want based on the properties that you have exposed from the drivers and from everything. So this gives you more flexible architecture, and this was our focus, and this was one of the primary reasons why we we chose to develop something else. It's not a fork of it. It's something written completely from scratch. But at first we tried to maintain some compatibility with Indy because we didn't have clients.
Yeah.
But now we have clients for Mac OS, for Windows, for Linux, and the infrastructure works on Linux and Mac OS and FreeBSD in some cases.
Yeah.
And for the version 3, we are porting it to Windows. I mean, not porting it using some
Rewriting it for Windows.
we are writing it in Windows Windows API.
Okay, yeah.
So
Okay,
just to tell you, it would be a good option to consider it.
Yeah, you see, that's a good thing to know now, because I've not developed the software that's going to control the observatory anyway. So obviously, knowing about alternative APIs, I'll be able to make sure it's compatible from the beginning. So we won't need to retrofit anything afterwards. So I'm quite open to use anything that can talk over a network. See,
if you need some help or something, you can contact.
Of course, and this is what it's all about: community engagement and community involvement. So it's in all of our interests to make astronomy more accessible, and for me, a big barrier of entry for people is the cost. So if we can, I like the idea of using open source software. I like the idea of using community written software and things like that. Things that are just community based and community driven, because it's everything that the observatory will be. It will be obviously headed by few people, but ultimately it'll be directed by the people that use it. So I'm always open. Nothing at this point is set in stone, apart from the fact that we are building an observatory in Bulgaria. That is the only thing that is going to happen. Everything else is all up for discussion. I've always been very open-minded. All of our clients that host telescopes with us, they will receive a complimentary APT license in with their package as well. So for anybody that likes to use APT, and we all do, it's very nostalgic for me. It was the first software I ever used when I got into astronomy. Cold nights, sort of huddled over. I mean, with the DSLR and a tripod, and APT was and it's so magical. Just the fact that I'm sat in the same room as a guy now that developed something that sort of helped me get into astronomy. And as much equipment I've got now, because we've got an observatory in the UK, and that's all very automated, it sort of set and forget. APT was my introduction to astronomy, and every time I see it somewhere, people post, it's like, oh, it's, so warm, fuzzy, cold actually, outdoors in the UK winters feelings of astronomy. But that was when it was most enjoyable, because capturing your own data when you're actually sort of there and you're outside getting cold with the equipment, it's the type of thing you miss it. But if anybody said, would you want to do that again? No, not anymore. No, I'm my days of getting cold are over. But it's still there's still absolutely a place in the observatory for all types of software. A lot of the infrastructure that we're designing in terms of for the scopes that people are renting, that is going to be a bit more locked down. But people that have their own scopes that are being hosted in the observatory, you can use whatever software you like. We don't care. Obviously, we're going to have to create certain things to keep network security under wraps, because we don't want rogue software doing. So we're going to have to come up with a way to make sure that we have robust hardware firewalling and things like that, and come up with a way to protect the integrity of the rest of the network. So if there is a problem with a particular machine, we'll be able to isolate it and take it off the network. But that's my problem and not your guys' issue, thankfully, for everybody, really. So in terms of, so basically the customer benefits, we want to be able to bring good quality equipment to everybody, really. Of course, we are going to have to charge a rental fee, because the observatory needs to be able to support itself, and it needs to be able to justify its own existence. I don't like the idea of charging, really, but we live in the real world, and we're going to have maintenance staff to pay, to a certain point. We are going to be seeing what we can do in terms of outreach and getting community feedback and community engagement. if we are able to secure any type of EU funding or grants, that will bring the price down for everybody. You know, I love the idea of making this accessible to everybody that wants to access it, and this is why I got into it. You know, trying to explain it to people. More people than you would think are interested, and it's my opinion that a lot of the other current remote observatories, they charge too much, I think, and the equipment isn't, it's not really as good as it should be. It's okay, and I've seen some fantastic images. I've used some of these observatories in the past, but they're, I feel, very expensive, and it's not affordable for everybody. We are going to have outreach days and open days and things where people can access the scopes. We are going to build, I'm going to have server racks, obviously, that contain all the data. We're going to have a data repository where people can look through it historically. We're going to catalogue everything and store everything. So we're looking at potentially petabytes of data. The observatory, even if the scopes are not being rented, whatever's not in use, we're going to be pointing them somewhere to gather data for the archive. Institutions are then going to be able to either have access to certain portions of it. We're going to use it to make it available for astronomical research. The data is all going to be good quality. The skies are very, very dark. So ultimately, it's all about making it available. So we are going to have data sets, again, to get people into astronomy that are free to download, high quality data sets. Usually free data sets are, and I understand why, you get maybe 4 or 5 subs pre-calibrated. You can't really experiment, but I would like to offer maybe 2 or 3 data sets, maybe 1,000 subs, uncalibrated with downloadable calibration frames so you can try out calibration. You know, a lot of people, for example, download PixInsight, they use PixInsight, and they either can't get the data, but if we can give people a full data set, you know, this is what you're likely to get in the field, you're going to have to calibrate this, you're on your own, okay, the data's good, we can't help you with that if you're taking it yourself, but we're going to have forums and things like that where people will be able to talk about the observatory, make recommendations, and also get advice from people when they're using their own equipment, because we're not trying to take anything away from people that enjoy doing everything themselves either. I understand a lot of people will say, I'm not interested in a remote observatory because I like doing it myself. Well, that's fine. But if you have bad weather for 2 or 3 months and you can't get out, your equipment is just sitting there doing nothing. So people will either be able to send it to us, assuming they get so bored of, I mean, in the UK, for example, 2024, I took 1 image. And that was it. So I had, I spent about 4 months on it, but just one image in a year. And it was very, very disappointing. It was a 2-panel mosaic of M31. I managed to get the supernova in the core as well, which was quite nice. But it's to me, just about having as many people looking at the sky as possible. Something that I haven't covered here, but it's something that I thought I would just mention in the presentation. I'm looking into the feasibility of actually building a radio interferometry array as well, with a 1 kilometre baseline. So I've been talking to people in Lesovo, and we've been able to secure a lot of land, or the permission to use the land surrounding the village, which means we should have 6 parabolic 3-metre radio dishes, and that should give us a 1 kilometre baseline. There is a way that I've sort of devised, it's in its infancy at the minute, but overlaying radio data onto optical data. And if we can achieve this, it will be the only observatory of its type in the world, offering both radio and optical astronomical data in one observatory without having to go to one place and another place. And we can offer data sets simultaneously, so we can stack the radio data sets along with optical data sets, align everything, and it's just another way of looking at the data. So in terms of, we're aiming about the 3mm wavelength in terms of radio observations. And then on top of that, later on down the line, we're going to be looking at spectroscopy as well, so looking at spectra of the sun and certain things. And I guarantee within a few years, the observatory that we build will be making new discoveries that will be credited not only to Bulgaria, but to a Bulgarian observatory. So it's very, very exciting, in my opinion anyway. You guys may or may not think so, but it's certainly an exciting project. So yes, this is pretty much, it concludes. I'm not sure how long I've been talking, but it feels like a long time for me. So this is basically just just to, hopefully you guys have found this something of interest. I've tried not to go on too long, and I've tried to keep it interesting. As I said, thanks to somebody, not going to mention names, I had 2 hours to prepare this, along with these. Along with these that you're more than welcome to pick up if you're interested in more information. So I was laying there, and about 11 o'clock this morning I picked my phone up to a message. Hi Rick, sorry to not have seen you last night. How do you fancy doing a presentation today? I don't. She was like, oh, come on. I was like, yeah, okay. Yeah. He said, oh, okay. He said, what are you going to title your presentation? I said, I haven't written the damn thing yet. I don't even know what I'm going to say, let alone what I'm calling it. So when will I see you then? Oh, okay, right. So I can't say no. He said, did I want to? Then he didn't let me say no anyway. So I couldn't really win. But if you guys have got any questions, then I appreciate I may have been quite vague on certain things. So if there's anything you guys would like to ask, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And like I said, there's more information here if you're interested in taking a copy. There's an email address on there as well, but the website isn't finished. I have it all designed and ready to go, but I've not deployed it to a server yet. I own all the server infrastructure that the site's going to be deployed on. So at the minute, you'll just see a TVSG. That is my company in the UK. We provide hosting and server support all over the world. That's what I do when I'm not doing astronomy, which is a lot in the UK because there is never any good weather to do astronomy, which is why we moved to Bulgaria, partly just to do this and to make it work. So if anybody's got any questions, feel free to. Okay.
About the hosting, can you explain a bit how would it work? Because you said bring your own scope and then handle everything. So what everything includes exactly?
Whatever you want us to host, we'll host it. So we supply the pier and the pad. The pads, by the way, we are going to have 27 cubic feet of concrete, so a meter by a meter cubed of concrete, and everything that will be completely isolated, so anti-vibration. That will be backfilled with concrete with rebar to hold it. The pier will be going on top of that, steel pier, so absolutely solid. So in terms of hosting scopes, you supply the scope and whatever equipment you want, and we'll mount it or host it. If you say want something to be hosted in the observatory that you don't have, we can source it for you, have it shipped to Bulgaria, or send somebody to collect it. So basically, you pay for the equipment, we have it delivered. If at any point you want your equipment back, you can either arrange delivery yourself, or we can ship it back to you. But we'll quite happily host anything. It doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is. The piers in the infrastructure will cope with anything. If you want to supply your own control machine, you can do that. We will calibrate and clean the optics should that need be doing. We don't charge, and something else I've seen which I don't like, other observatories, they charge you a hosting fee, which is fine, but then if you have to collimate or do anything, they charge you per hour. I can promise you now, for any collimation or any maintenance, it'll be one flat fee. You will know what it is before anything. So if you say my RC or Newtonian needs collimating, we'll tell you what the price is, and that's it. So there's one flat price to have whatever work needs to be done. You would just pay one price, and we're not going to do a per hour thing where it's X amount per hour, because you don't know how long it's going to take, and we think we're good enough at what we do to be able to offer a fair price from the beginning. So there's going to be no hidden costs. There's going to be no trying to trip people up with collimation, or there's no sort of pay this much now, and then once your telescope's deployed, then you owe us more. I've seen observatories do that, where there's hidden prices within hidden prices. We're not interested. We want to be transparent and flexible. We're all about the community and engaging with the community. So community feedback is really important to us. We're going to be transparent with everybody about everything. So if, for example, either a scope is hosted or rented or whatever, assuming, or more so for the scopes that are sort of people that rent the time. If you book a session and it's cloudy, you get your money back. There's going to be no arguments. We will show a live feed of the weather, so you'll be able to see it. We're going to show the forecast and what's going to be observable. If for whatever reason you don't have the night that we promised you, if for whatever reason you don't get the time that you booked, full refund, no questions. But in terms of your question about how does it work with hosted, can you be more specific?
No, I think that pretty much covers it, so thank you.
Okay.
If we have already built observatory with dome or with shed, can we move if you're not happy with the weather?
Yeah. So for example, if for whatever reason you're not happy with the service you're receiving, just let us know. It would be great if you could tell us why, but if it's just down to the weather, unfortunately, we're all at the mercy of the weather. But yes, by all means, we want to be absolutely transparent. Keeping the community engaged and involved is super important to us. We're not out to mislead anybody. So yes, if for whatever reason I wouldn't feel happy knowing that we've got somebody's scope in our observatory that wasn't happy. If you're not a happy customer, I'd rather just shake your hand and say, sorry, it didn't work, and I'd rather part ways amicably rather than you, I really hate dealing with these people. You know, I like the fact that...
I probably didn't explain that we are not happy with the weather with the current place and want to move to York.
Oh, sorry. That's answered somebody else's question that may have asked that. Right, so you want to move a scope from somewhere to Lesovo?
Not only the scope, but the whole observatory with dome, with shed.
We can do that. We can accommodate that, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah.
I do want some of this land, you know, for myself.
Well, you don't need it, right? But yes, I mean that is. We may need another discussion, but there's quite a bit of land, so we'll be able to sort something out. Yes, and then we'll be able to connect that to the rest of the infrastructure. So yes, not a problem. I'm sure we'll be able to accommodate you. And if we have to buy a little bit more land, then...
I might have got a spending spree.
No. Yes, so I'm sure we'll be able to sort something out.
Tonight you will see the observatory that we want to move.
Okay, right.
You will tell me. I moved it.
Right, well that might be another conversation then. Well, if that's everything, then I'll stop boring you all with my going on, and yes, thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much.